All right, we're back. We're back. It's about 11:30. Try to be good to the word on that. It is exactly 11:30. How about that? And you know, I was just thinking, Cameron, maybe I should go grab some stock footage and cut a little video of the feds kicking in the door. And just one morning, run the intro and then run the video of the feds kicking in the door and just walk away, call it a show. I mean,
that would be funny.
I have a shitload of stock footage to work with. I could probably pull that off. Anyway, so Hunter Biden. Whew.
Oh, the gift that keeps on giving.
Guys, you know what's funny is Joe Biden is a garbage candidate to begin with. For him to also have this albatross around his neck, just, I mean, it's, my microphone fell away. Come back here. Come back here. There you go. That's where you live. And let's just address this real quick. Biden is winning by 14 points, right? Biden is winning by 14 points. Oh, Cameron, I need you back on your computer so you can see this shit.
Soon enough, my brother. Soon enough.
There. Now you can see this shit. Biden is winning by 14 points, guys. Well, actually, yeah, that's what's happening. Oh, Steve says my boss wants to see the golden armor Trump background when you can. Well, brother, I will acquiesce to your request. There you go. And the snake chick character is from an anime that is running on Hulu. I don't remember the name of it. It's something like Monster Girls or something. I watched, I think, the first 2 episodes of it. Not kid-friendly. Very funny, but not quite my cup of tea. Not exactly. It's not hentai. It's not like straight up anime porn, but it's racy. But anyway. So there's the golden Trump armor cut. And that's this. I did not do this one. This is one that this is a gift that I stumbled across on the interwebs, and I just thought was fantastic. With, I mean, you got the God Emperor armor, you got the red hat, you got the. Honestly, I could do without the snake body chick, but somehow she kind of fits there. It just it works. Anywho, so Hunter Biden with a crack pipe. Who's surprised, guys? Uh-oh, I hit the wrong button. Nope. Everything's going wrong now. Oh, things are popping up all over the place. I hit the wrong button. I fixed it. All right, there we go. Who's surprised? I mean, it wasn't that long ago. What was it, last summer? That we had the news reports about Hunter Biden turning in a rental car, and then they found a crack pipe, and crack, and weed, and multiple ID cards, and more than one passport. And it wasn't like when I had more than one passport. I had a blueback passport for civilian travel and a brownback passport for official travel. He had several passports, and there are cases in which you can have more than one passport. As an American citizen, I think you can only have two passports, one for civilian travel and one for official government business. Like, I mean, that's
anyhow,
I had to organize getting the brownback passports for a bunch of soldiers one time, and it was an absolute pain in the dick. It's not hard, guys. You go to the drugstore and you get a passport photo. It's like $5. And
anyhow.
So, but Hunter, and I tell that story to say this. Hunter apparently spent a little extra money on his additional passports. Okay, I think that's sunk in. Steve says moderator privileges. Yes, we were talking about moderator stuff earlier, and I'm not going to go off on that for very long, but I am going to assign Lindsay Adams moderator privileges. So, Lindsay, if you think somebody's just pulling too many shenanigans, go ahead and boot them. Like I was telling Steve and the boys earlier, though, if you've got moderator privileges on this channel, there's a handful of people who do. For the most part, let people talk. Keep an eyeball out for black propaganda, which is not a racist thing. Black propaganda is when you pretend to agree with people and then you go extreme so that you paint the people that you are pretending to agree with as if they are the extreme one. So the thing that I want you moderators keeping an eyeball out for is we've actually had rating attacks like this on this channel a few times before. What the black propaganda artist does when they raid on a live chat channel is they're attempting to take the conversation to an extreme or to flood the chat channel with language that is extreme to a sufficient degree that YouTube shuts the stream off or takes down the video. So just keep an eyeball out for that kind of stuff. You get some shithead like James from earlier that was just running off at the mouth and didn't have anything useful or interesting to say. The only thing you should do with that is drop a comment to bring me back on track, because I don't need to be wasting my time with those kind of people when we've got a show map and a topic that we want to discuss. Biden with a crack pipe. So, like I was saying, last summer, I think it was last summer, Joe's boy Hunter got in some hot water. He turned in a rental car, and there was drug paraphernalia and money and White House IDs and passports in the glove box. I mean,
whoops! I forgot my cocaine.
How high do you have to be to forget the most damning, incriminating jackpot you could possibly have left behind? Like it couldn't have been worse. He couldn't have screwed that up worse unless he had pulled like a Breonna Taylor and left a dead body and a murder weapon in the trunk.
I don't know. How high do you have to be to drop off computers for repair that have got pictures of you smoking crack while...
Apparently precisely as high as one gets by taking pictures of oneself while smoking crack. I say it to you almost every week, guys, on Friday with the Safety Brief. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, farm animals, firearms, and videotape. No two at the same time.
No. Oh, but that's not even the... as bad as all that is, that's not the real juicy bit here. The real juicy bit is that there's correspondence from the Ukrainian government thanking Hunter Biden for the introduction.
You know, I'm not even sure if that's the real juicy bit, but we'll get to the election tampering in a moment. We have here, thank you. I just updated the software on the Stream Deck, and I guess I need to reboot the machine again to get everything reintegrated correctly. We have here from analyzingamerica.org, breaking: Biden camp responds to the Hunter Biden email report suggesting then VP met with Barisma exec. Full disclosure, guys, I stumbled across this article right before the show. I read several other articles. This one I haven't gotten a chance to read yet, so we're just going to go through it together. It's not a very long one. Right? Fox News reports that the Biden campaign defended Hunter Biden after the New York Post revealed details of the two of them in cahoots with a top executive at Ukrainian natural gas firm Barisma Holdings in 2015. Investigations by the press during impeachment and even by two Republican-led Senate committees whose work was decried as not legitimate and political by a GOP colleague have all reached the same conclusion: that Joe Biden carried out official U.S. policy toward Ukraine and engaged in no wrongdoing. Trump administration officials have attested to these facts under oath, the Biden campaign spokesman Andrew Bates said in a statement. But let's be very clear. That investigation was prior to the release of this evidence. New evidence has come to light. And funny story about that investigation, the Fifth Amendment protects you from double jeopardy, but I don't know how many of y'all saw that awful film, and I say awful film. I never watched it either, but I've had conversations with, before he passed, Uncle Bobo, who was one of the most respected defense attorneys in the state of Georgia. In fact, very well respected nationally. And my cousin Nikki, who was a judge. Well, she's retired as a judge now, but also a practicing attorney. I've had conversations with them, and of course, you guys know I keep a copy of the Constitution next to the shitter. I read the Constitution the way zealots read their Bible. But the Fifth Amendment talks about the double jeopardy clause. You shall not twice be put in jeopardy on the same charge. The legal scholarly thinking on that is that film, Double Jeopardy, told a story of a woman who was charged and convicted for murdering her husband. And then, spoiler alert, I don't care about the spoilers on this one. The movie's 20 years old. But basically, she serves her time, and then because of the double jeopardy rule, you can't be charged for the same crime twice. She murders her husband because, well, she's already served the sentence for it. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. What it means is that if she's already served her time for the crime of murdering her husband on the day that she was accused originally, in the way that she was accused of having done it, and it's been proved that that happened or didn't happen, then she can't face that jeopardy again. But going and committing the crime after the fact, so she's tried, she's convicted, she serves her time, she gets out, she goes to kill her husband 20 years later. This is not double jeopardy. This is a separate crime. Right? So that, and I say all that to bring it back around to this. When you start talking about the double jeopardy, that protects you from a conviction that has already been determined either a conviction or an acquittal. This is talking about an investigation that came to a conclusion and new evidence has been brought to light. You can reopen an investigation. An investigation that did not end in an indictment or a conviction can absolutely be reopened.
Hell, ask Robert Mueller. You can just investigate and investigate and investigate and investigate
and make
investigate.
Shit up.
Yeah.
And then you can come back and issue a report that goes out of its way to make illegitimate claims and, illegitimate claims with no evidence, just so that you can continue grandstanding after you have to admit that you didn't find anything. But, what do I know? It's not like I'm a trained analyst.
Yeah. So you don't think you don't think this evidence is the juicy part, and you don't think the crack pipe is the juicy part. What is the juicy part, my brother?
The juicy part is the censorship. So these articles are out. You can find them, but they're actively being censored and removed from Twitter and Facebook, especially Facebook. Ted Cruz point, big tech crossed a line that is very dangerous with censorship on Biden New York Post story. There's censorship where you're prevented from saying words that you want to say in clear violation of your First Amendment rights. There's the Section 230 exemption that says that the platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, they're considered platforms. And they're considered platforms for the purposes of protecting them from lawsuits. So if you go make a video that offends a bunch of people, they can come after you for making the video, but they can't come after Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube for hosting the video. However, the Section 230 exemption presupposes that the platform which enjoys that protection is not engaged in editorializing. So if you run a defamatory article in the New York Times, let's say you went in the New York Times and you said that I was a big Democrat donor, I could sue you for libel over that. You, personally, who wrote the article. And I can sue the New York Times for libel over that, because the New York Times is not a platform, it is a publisher, which means it exerts editorial control, which is to say that it makes the decisions on what content to carry. And since the New York Times chose to run the libelous article, like, for example, calling a young boy in a red hat a vehement racist who violently assaulted a Native American veteran without any evidence, then you could very easily find yourself in a very actionable position regarding the rights of an individual not to be unduly libeled or slandered by a publication. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube are all acting with absolute editorial discretion, conducting broad sweeping censorship that is clearly recorded, researched, and evidenced with receipts. And they are still being treated with CDA, CDA, Communications Decency Act Section 230 exemption. This is wrong. It gets worse, though. What they're doing vis-a-vis the Biden campaign, with this story in particular, but broadly in several other cases, where they're removing Trump ads, they're over-promoting Biden ads, they're actively removing negative Biden stories and actively promoting negative Trump stories.
Smells like election tampering.
Exactly. That is active election fraud, election meddling, election tampering. So let's go back real quick to the Russia hoax. The only thing that was ever shown and never really actively proved was that some private citizens, a private organization in Russia, not the Russian government, but a small private organization, took out $100,000 or $150,000 worth of Facebook ads that were pro-Trump. the little bit of testimony that we have gotten from them on that is that their objective was to destabilize the election, that they weren't interested in Trump, but they wanted to divide Americans and breed hatred and breed destabilization to hurt the country. But you're talking about, $100 and some $1,000 in a campaign, in an election campaign where Hillary Clinton spent more than any other candidate in history. And don't forget, Barack Obama's campaign was the most expensive election campaign in history until Hillary. And Donald Trump spent less than half of that because he was living rent-free in everybody's heads in the media.
Yes.
So what's happening here, the thing that Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube are doing quite clearly is precisely the thing that they accused Russia of doing during the last election.
Yeah, it's pretty clear cut. And I'm not going to go too far down this rabbit hole, but it bears mentioning. This is part of why I think early voting is bullshit. I mean, what if it comes out tomorrow, like just concrete proof that Joe Biden is a kitty diddler? Well, more concrete proof, but you know what I mean. That would change some minds.
I was about to say, you say that like we don't already have evidence. Yes, that could, at least, could change some minds.
Oh, wow. And this is not verified, but part of our personal thread has just suggested that there's kitty porn on one of Hunter Biden's laptops.
Part of our Twitter thread?
Part of our personal thread.
Oh.
Yeah. Woo.
Oh. Well, I'm not gonna try to run down evidence on that right now. Just because it's a bunch more typing while we're already live and already have articles pulled up.
Yes. But
that does change some math.
Well, even if there's not kitty porn, even if it's just he obviously lied and used influence. When you're talking about like Russian and Ukrainian oligarchs, you're not talking about nice people. Ironically, you're talking about people who in real life are the caricature that the left often paints the American capitalist as. And
yeah, Mr. Reagan did a great video about one of these guys, the head of one of the heads of Barisma, and he said it's a name that basically everybody knows is right. Oh wow. Okay, no, never mind. I thought I had just stumbled across something really substantial, but no. Anyway, damn, what was that guy's name? It's not Victor Shokin. He was the prosecutor. Oh, there it is. Alexander Onishenko. Mr. Reagan did a great video about this guy, and the guy's basically a Bond villain. I mean, we're talking full-on sharks with lasers on their heads in a tank under his desk. And, I exaggerate a little bit, but let me be clear. When I say I exaggerate a little bit, the exaggeration is with freaking lasers on their heads. No, the man actually has a shark tank in his office that he feeds live things to intimidate people in business dealings. These are the people that the Bidens are in bed with. Yeah. And Cameron, you've got a look on your face like this is surprising information to you.
No, it's just amusing to me. Like I was thinking, wow, it actually seems like an incredibly effective negotiating tactic.
Oh yeah, it's right up there with, Lyndon Baines Johnson swinging his big old dick all over the place. I mean, Trump's so crude. Really? Have you met a Democrat? I mean, LBJ literally conducted foreign policy meetings with foreign dignitaries in his hot tub so that he could flex on having a big dick.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he referred to it as the strategy of penis intimidation.
Yeah.
But how many
Let's not
people?
even, that to say nothing of the Kennedys.
How
All
many?
of them.
How many people have already voted for Joe Biden? Where if this story, had been accurately reported in the first place, or at least now was being accurately reported, maybe they wouldn't switch to Trump, but they might stay home. They might vote third party.
Oh, yeah, and if Biden wins this election, we need to do a live stream where we bring a bunch of the boys on and just, like 6 or 8 talking heads. And we need to all look into the camera very seriously and say, among you, there are those who realize now that they voted early for the kitty diddler. And they feel shame. And you should.
I don't know, man. If Biden wins, I'm going to be a bit nervous to have years of evidence like this on YouTube.
Oh, evidence of our patriotism, our dedication
Yes.
to the Constitution,
Yes.
our love of liberty and low taxes and limited government.
And free speech.
And free speech. Yeah.
And,
but,
I mean, come on. All these people, it's like, oh, well, there's a 50-50 shot. In what universe? I mean, this is so close to what happened last time with Hillary. It actually makes me suspicious. Like, I get it. Part of the reason why Democrats are Democrats is because they don't math so good. But, I mean, okay, yeah, Hillary had a double-digit lead, and she was going to win all the swing states, and then that's not at all what happened. Meanwhile, Trump is having these just massive rallies where thousands of people show up, and they have a blast. And it's not just hardcore Republicans showing up at these rallies. There's a large percentage of people that show up at these rallies that are Democrats. There's a large percentage of people that show up at these rallies that have either never voted before or have skipped the last several election cycles because they don't see any point between voting between two crooked shitheads. And so, ooh, that was a bigger dip than I thought it was going to be. Anyhow. So now you want me to believe that Joe Biden actually has a 14-point lead? No. I mean, does anybody with half a brain really think Biden has a snowball's chance in hell?
Well,
I didn't mean to rabbit hole quite that hard. Just part of what I was driving at is, oh dear, that was a big bump. This is part of why early voting is bullshit. Well, we need to make it convenient. No, screw you. Voting doesn't need to be convenient. It doesn't need to be overly
hard. And I voted. I voted yesterday, day before yesterday. I did vote early. Largely because I want asses in the polls, and I went and did some live reporting on what the lines looked like at the polls. And oh, by the way, go early in the morning. Polls open at 7. Be there before then. Get in line early. I showed up. There was nobody waiting outside, almost nobody waiting outside the building, and it was still almost 4 hours. So, but yeah. I think we've covered the spread, though. My big takeaway was that because nobody's going to change their mind. Almost, I take that back. Almost nobody's going to change their mind based merely on the fact that Hunter Biden is a garbage human being who smokes a lot of crack and cheated
Fucks his
on
brother's wife.
his brother's widow after he. The Biden incest web is more complex and confusing than the whole thing with Ilhan Omar and her biological husband.
Oh.
I mean, at least she's got the good grace to just be a straightforward, just straightforward incest and immigration fraud. But this thing going on with Biden, the Bidens, it's just,
Yeah, I mean,
it's so
seriously.
confusing that Joe forgot how many grandkids he has, couldn't remember their names, and not. He had a brain fart. He had a stumble. Like sometimes I call my oldest kid by the second one's name because I've got too many kids, and that gets confusing when they're all talking at the same time. But he didn't just have a brain fart. He couldn't recall it with effort during the same interview. I mean, and yep. Anyway.
Yep. I think this just needs to be the short and sweet one.
Yeah, I think, well, short and sweet, it's been 31 minutes, my brother. We're, I think we can wrap this one up, though, and put a bow on it. Y'all, thanks for watching. I'm gonna do the 2 again tomorrow. And then I'm gonna look at how the numbers shake out over the weekend, and that will determine next week whether we keep going live first thing in the morning, or whether I just do the 11:30, or how we shake it out. So, possibly changes next week. Almost certainly we're going back to 1 a day starting next week. We'll be on twice tomorrow. At least I may do an evening show as well, depending on some things that are in the works at the moment. And y'all be safe out there, and we will see you tomorrow.